The Ukrainian military said oil facilities were among the targets that were hit. The attacks come as the U.S. and Russia head toward a potential showdown. President Trump says he would impose sanctions on Russia if no deal is reached with Ukraine by next Friday. U.S. envoy Steve Witkoff is headed to Russia after visiting Gaza and Israel. I want to bring in now Ivo Daalder. He is the former U.S. ambassador to NATO and senior fellow at Harvard's Belfer Center. Ambassador, great to see you.
Glad to be here.
So how do you envision Special Envoy Witkoff to be most influential with Russia right now?
Well, the way to be influential is to come to Russia and say that it needs to stop. It needs to stop now, the war, and then it needs to engage in serious negotiations that recognize that the United States backs a sovereign and independent Ukraine. The one thing that Russia wants is a Ukraine that is subservient to Russia, to make clear that that is not something the United States can accept. And that if that doesn't happen, if the war doesn't end and serious negotiations don't start, that the United States will join its allies in putting major sanctions on Russian oil, including reducing the oil cap that the Europeans and Canadians now want to reduce to about $45 a barrel. From the $60 a barrel it's been. The United States has not been willing to do that. And more importantly, to start shipping weapons to Ukraine at an accelerated rate. The president has now said that he's willing to do so, but only if other people pay for it. If what is happening in Ukraine is a security challenge to the United States, or at least if you want to communicate to Russia that it is a security challenge to the United States, you got to get serious about helping the Ukrainians.
Is the message, serious enough that President Trump, says he's ordered 2 U.S. nuclear submarines to be moved into tactical positions closer to Russia? I mean, is that threatening enough, or in your view, what does that signal at a minimum?
I think it demonstrates the president has a thin skin. He doesn't like it when people call him out, as the former Russian president, Dmitry Medvedev, did. He's known as an attack dog in the last few years, has emerged as someone who threatens nuclear war on a whim. The best thing to do is to ignore it, not to play the same game. And when it comes to submarines, those are our most secure nuclear deterrent. They are secure because nobody knows where they are. And therefore signaling that you're moving them, that you're repositioning them, and that you're moving them closer to Russia gives Russia more information to find out where those submarines are. The one thing you don't want to happen is to allow anybody to know where these submarines are. I think this is a dangerous game. It's not the kind of pressure that I think we should be pushing on Russia when it comes to Ukraine. Threatening nuclear war or anything like that is far too serious a business that this president and President Medvedev would be well to stop doing.
Yeah, excellent point. You're not supposed to know where the U.S. nuclear submarines are at any time. They are elusive for a reason, or supposed to maintain that demeanor. So this special envoy, Steve Witkoff, he was in Gaza yesterday, Tel Aviv today. Why, does it take the special envoy Witkoff's eyes and accounts in Gaza for the president to believe that famine is happening there and that conditions are bad? What do you see behind this or that mission?
I mean, Steve Witkoff is playing an extraordinary role, a role few people have played in the U.S. government, as basically the eyes and ears and at times mouth of the President of the United States. It's clear that President Trump trusts Steve Witkoff's observations. He trusts him as a negotiator. It's why he has put him in charge of negotiating an end to the war in Gaza, unfortunately not very successfully, to negotiate a deal with Iran, again, unfortunately not very successfully, and to get a deal between Russia and Ukraine to end the war, again, unfortunately not very successful so far. Any one of these jobs is beyond the capacity of a single human being to do. These are incredibly difficult, intensive jobs that require detailed knowledge of what is happening. To have one person dealing with the 3 most difficult negotiations is truly something that we have never seen before. And it is therefore not very surprising that there isn't a lot of progress. I mean, there is this sense that the president has that deals can be struck in minutes or in hours through direct talks between leaders. That's just not how it happens. These conflicts reflect real political differences. They reflect deep-seated political differences. They're not solved in an hour. They're not solved because the president says they need to be solved. They get solved because a solution is found that both sides prefer to continue the conflict. That isn't the case in Ukraine and Russia. It's not the case, obviously, in Israel and Hamas, and it isn't the case in Iran, and that's unfortunate. The search for peace is elusive, and if you have one man trying to do it all, you're not likely to succeed.
Ambassador Ivo Dalder, always appreciate you. Thank you so much, and your candor and experience. Appreciate it.
My pleasure.
All right, the United Nations says more than 700 children have been killed in Ukraine since the war began. CNN's Nick Payton-Walsh brings us the story of a 10-year-old who died on a visit to his grandmother's house. And just a warning, parts of this report are disturbing.
When wars kill for years, names bleed into lists without faces, but each loss still burns a black hole in the worlds they left behind. Timur was aged 10. He was visiting his grandmother in Kramatorsk. He really wanted to see her when a 250-kilogram Russian bomb hit her top-floor home. It was 4:40 a.m. on July the 22nd, and Timur slept alone in the spare room. Toys flipped up on the roof. His mother Nastya had left them together that night and was due to take Timur home to Kiev the next morning.